Hey guys, so I am making a series on precursor directives in C. In this series, I will be discussing all about these hash define, hash pragma, stringizing operator, token pasting operator, and these header guards. And we will be taking real world examples to actually understand how and when they are used. Like we will develop a custom error logging macro, a macro to profile our code, and we will take examples for all the directives that we learn. In this video, we are just going to understand what is a preprocessor, and we will do it by taking an example of a macro. We will write a code using a simple macro, and then we will analyze it. We will understand when is the preprocessor invoked, how it worked and all. So for now, let's dive into the code. So here we are trying to calculate the area of a circle. We are using the formula pi r square. So what we have done here is we have defined a macro that replaces instances of pi with 3.14. That means wherever we have written pi, it will be replaced by 3.14 like this. So you can think of a macro as a simple search and replace. So for the formal definition, let's see this. So Wikipedia defines macro as a pattern or rule that specifies how a certain input sequence should be mapped to a replacement output sequence. This is the general definition of a macro. For more detailed thing, let's see the GNU definition for macro in C. So in this GCC docs, it says that a macro is a fragment of code which has been given a name. Whenever the name is used, it is replaced by the contents of the macro. And there are two kinds of macro, object like and function like. What we used was a object like macro. Now let's give a test for a function like macro. Before moving to function like macros, let's try running this code. Let me make it to two decimal places only. Yeah, so gcc macro, and so we're getting the correct output. Now let's move to the program. So now instead of doing it like this, let's make a function like macro to calculate the area of the circle. So here we defined a function like macro named area of circle, which takes a parameter r, converts it into pi r square pattern. When we call it here, what happens is this gets replaced by this. So this is equivalent. Let's try running these codes. Let me comment this and comment this. So when we run these codes, getting the output, when we use this line, still getting the output. So now let's try to understand what's going under the hood. Basically, why do we write this code? What happens to it? Like the source code is converted into machine code by the compiler. So this code means nothing to the machine. It's just for our understanding. Like we can write this simple code and then the compiler convert it to machine code. So basically there are certain steps that are involved in converting this source code into machine code. This includes lexical analysis, preprocessing, compilation, then linking. So these are the phases of translation from this source code to the object code. So basically if you want to read more about these phases of translation, I have added a link below in the description. Our main goal right now is to understand when is the preprocessor invoked. The preprocessor is invoked before the compilation stage. The compilation stage includes syntactically and semantically analyzing the code, converting it into machine language and all, but the preprocessor is executed before the compilation. So you can make like checks like am I on that OS, am I on this OS, or if you defined a macro like area of circle, it just gets replaced before the compilation starts. Let's say you had defined a function for area of circle. what would happen is like your code will be executed on runtime, like you're calling a function. It would have some overhead. But in case of macro, it's just a simple replacement. There is no overhead for a macro. So now let's see how a code looks after getting preprocessed. Basically, we will tell GCC to only execute the preprocessor stage. That we can do with GCC E flag. And now we will see it will output the preprocessed output. So this is the preprocessed code. We'll just copy it completely and paste it to a file. So all this code is actually the header file above. We will come to that too. But before that, you see this part of the code. Here it was area of circle. It got replaced with this. And now this file will be sent to the compilation stage. I would strongly recommend you to give a quick read to this phases of translation document. Basically, it will help you get a better idea about this preprocessor thing, like when it is getting invoked and all. So I would really suggest that you give a read to this. In the next video, we will see some examples on these macros. We will basically make a error logging macro and a code profiling macro. So I will see you in the next video.